Hello and welcome to the Geeks Review. I'm Royce.
I'm Ben.
And I'm Joshua.
Today we're reviewing Doctor Who, Series 12. Doctor Who is a British sci-fi program that's been around since the 60s. It follows the adventures of an alien, a Time Lord called the Doctor, who travels through time and space, saving the day, rescuing people, usually with a companion. The Doctor is this alien who can change their appearance whenever they die. This has allowed multiple actors to play the character, the series to continue on for 55 plus years. Currently, the 13th Doctor is a woman, the first female Doctor played by Jodie Whittaker, who's known for programs such as Broadchurch, films like Attack the Block. She's a really versatile actress and she really brings something new to this role. The current series is produced by Chris Chibnall, who did series like Broadchurch as well as the previous Doctor Who spin-off Torchwood. So Series 12 is the second series of Jodie Whittaker's series. It's a bit of an interesting start. Josh, do you want to start first?
I dropped off Doctor Who about halfway through Capaldi's run years ago when Moffat was running the show, and I came back and I figured fresh faces, new start, and season 1 for Jodie didn't stand out well for me. The writing felt bleh. But with one episode standing out, The Demons of Punjab, I think by far one of the more Doctor Who-iest episodes I've seen when it fits into the modern theme. With this new series, I didn't go in with high hopes, but Spyfall sort of perked me up and went, oh, maybe change is on the horizon, and not a moment too soon.
Well, I have a lot to say about this because, I've watched Doctor Who ever since I was very little, and because at first when I heard that Jodie Whittaker was announced to play as the next Doctor, I'm like, okay, this can be interesting because it could actually add a new perspective. I didn't mind season 1. I did like the episode with the one you just mentioned.
Demons of Punjab.
Yeah, Demons of Punjab. I actually quite liked that one. The others felt a little bit kind of rushed and cheesy in a way.
Yes,
Yeah.
I think that was definitely a criticism I felt. I mean, for me, Jodie is... No, I have absolutely no problem. I think Jodie Whittaker is a fantastic actress. She does play the Doctor very differently. She sort of feels like a children's TV show presenter. She's very serious and she do some really good things. But when she plays the Doctor, she sort of feels like she could turn to the camera and go, "Hello, I'm the Doctor. Today we're hunting Daleks. Do you know what a Dalek is?" It's very different. Tonally, it is a very different show now. This sort of did feel like going back to more classic, I should say, at Russell T Davies, as in the new Doctor Who, you know.
Back with 9.
Yeah.
The episode starts off as a modern spy movie, which at first I thought, okay, this could be interesting. But then they show aliens that are from a different dimension, and I'm like, you don't mix aliens with spy.
You can do what you want. It's Doctor Who.
I know you can do whatever you want. It just doesn't gel well for me. It just feels odd, and because it kind of sets up almost like a horror kind of thing in a way. Well, there's no blood or guts or anything like that, but it sets like they're meant to be terrifying.
Oh, they definitely were unique. These aliens, they were glowing white, just
energy being almost.
Yeah, and apparently they were real, actual glowing suits actors wore, which were enhanced with special effects.
Yeah,
but it's a really interesting design. I mean, it's literally just a glowing person, but still, something can exist like that on a TV show like this is cool. But yeah, Doctor Who's always been about mixing genres, and I think The Spy, it was very much more like a classic Bond spy film.
Oh, there was definitely classic Bond elements here. They nearly beat for beat did the old school Bond theme with the arrival at the big bad little casino party thing.
Yes, they did. Yeah, Stephen Fry sort of plays the M role, who gets immediately murdered.
Waste of Stephen Fry.
It really is, because he's sort of long been tied to Doctor Who.
Yeah,
in various forms. He was going to write a story back in 2006, but he had to leave it. And he's there, and he's killed off after 2 minutes.
It's actually kind of weird because I was like, oh, Stephen Fry's in this. Oh, this should be interesting.
They made a big song and dance of Stephen Fry's in the season.
Yeah.
And hello, this is C. He's played by Stephen Fry. He's now dead.
Yeah.
Literally the first conversation we have of him, he looks at Graham, which is one of the companions. He goes, "I read the report. The Doctor is a man." And then the Doctor just pokes her head out. She's like, "I've had an upgrade." And I'm like, oh.
We're doing this, are we?
Well, yeah, we're going this route. I mean, like,
I
tried to get past that moment. I tried to enjoy the rest of the episode.
It's been established for a while that the Doctor can change gender. I mean, even back in the 1970s, Tom Baker, the fourth Doctor, perhaps the most famous Doctor, has sort of said, I do believe that a future Doctor should be female. Peter Davison disagrees. But it's been long established, so it still sort of feels like, yes, we know that the Doctor can be a female now. You don't need to keep reminding us.
And they've established that, Time Lords can regenerate into other genders. With it wasn't the last Capaldi episode. It was the last... it was the last Capaldi season before his special when he regenerated.
Yeah, and I mean, even a character standing villain, the Master, transformed into a woman last time, played by Michelle Gomez, Missy. Sort of a reinvention with that character. Yeah, so it's been there, so it sort of feels like, okay, we don't need to keep on bringing up the fact. I mean, with some historical contexts, it can be interesting, because the Doctor's obviously usually the one who controls the situation whenever the Doctor's in the room. Sometimes control falls away, and that can be a really scary, really tense moment, like episodes like Midnight with David Tennant, where control just completely falls away. But with the Doctor, with this, it sort of feels like every single episode there's something there questioning her judgment and her role, which, like I said, it works in a historical context when there's
actual historical context to be had.
Yeah, but in a modern day thing now, it's sort of like, they should know all of this. Like, I mean, they've taken away things like Unit and Torchwood, who were like the in-universe, Black Ops alien thing, who knew stuff like this, but now it just...
Was it literally 2 seasons ago were prominent and now gone?
Yeah, just... The one
I understand why Torchwood's gone.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's... But yeah, it sort of feels like when this series came along, it was really resetting the status quo, because it was a big deal made about there's not going to be any returning villains. There's not going to be any Daleks, no Cybermen, no Master, no Silurians, no Zygons. It was like, yeah, they tried to go their own thing, and it was somewhat hit and miss, and now they're going back
to the classics.
And because that's what you look for with Doctor Who, is new stuff, but also the return to those classic things. You look forward to the Daleks.
What you do with the old stuff.
And they did a New Year's special last year where they brought the Dalek back. And that, I think, really made it scary for the first time in like the last 10 years.
Yeah.
Dalek was terrifying. This creature that just wrapped itself around and can control people through like mind control, and just a horrific possibility. But yeah, we're talking about the new series, the new episodes.
Yeah.
And so there's a little gripe there. Where was Unit then?
Yeah, it's all MI6 or MI7 or,
MI6.
MI6. Yeah. So we meet this character who lives out in the Australian outback. I always get a bit hesitant whenever Australia is shown in international productions.
It was filmed in South Africa.
That's what I thought.
Was it?
Yeah, they did. They got the ability to film certain episodes and scenes in South Africa, so they utilized it as best they can. The opening scene was actually Cape Town, South Africa.
That reminds me, actually, the Rosa Parks episode last year was filmed in South Africa as well.
Yeah, so
doubling
it looks
as
like
the
they're
South.
slowly making their way across the empire. What's next? Filming in India?
Oh, well, I mean, they almost did, didn't they?
Yeah.
I think it's just because it's within the same time zone, and, South Africa is a popular holiday destination for the Brits, so it's easy to get to.
No language barrier.
Mostly. So yeah, we're introduced to this character called O, who works for British intelligence, and he's played by an actor called Sacha Dhawan. He's been in some Marvel properties, hasn't he?
Iron Fist.
He
was Deimos.
He was actually in the Doctor Who Origin movie a few years ago, An Adventure in Space and Time, which told the story of Doctor Who's inception as a program, and he played the series' first director, Royce Hussein, who was... So he's introduced as this, this person who the Doctor's had a previous relationship with, and this is a trope that's been around for years. The Doctor meets up with someone, goes, "Oh, this person and I go way back, but we've never met them before," and they usually just play a role in this story here. It's a bit of a weird episode to describe, the first one, because it's like, what does happen? It's a lot of just...
spycraft.
Yeah.
And trying to be that classic spycraft, laser shoes, bioscan reading, audio recorder.
Yeah.
A camera that can, copy certain identifications. I mean, those last two things brilliant, but laser shoes. That's definitely venturing into the, yes, we need to do the homage to Bond.
I did just remember there is the villain in this played by Lenny Henry, a comedian going into more serious acting. He actually played the Doctor in a sketch back in the 1980s, the first Black Doctor. But he's apparently this sort of Mark Zuckerberg character within this thing who runs a tech company, a sort of big Google search engine. Horrible name, Vor. If you're of the internet, I heard that and I'm just like, oh my God, why did they call it that?
Thank God without the E.
It's still very unfortunate. So we assume he's going to be this big villain, and they scan him and he's like 93% human. So it's like, what's the deal with him? So yeah, there is this really great casino vineyard scene where they go to his party, and there's a fantastic joke with like Blackjack and the Doctor. I think it was Blackjack.
Baccarat.
Baccarat, yeah. Fantastic.
Which is a dead giveaway. You're a spy. Only spies pay Baccarat.
Right. Well, yes, I'm not a spy. Never heard of it. But yeah, it's there's some action scenes. There's a car chase for whatever reason. I don't know why. It just seems like let's have a motorbike chase, but it doesn't. It action scenes in Doctor Who sometimes always look a bit.
The hit and miss.
Yeah, like I don't know. I know they've got a limited budget, but you can make stuff look fantastic with a limited budget. But this just sort of felt a bit awkward.
Yeah.
And a bit, I was like, oh, this is a lot of money that could have gone on something else.
And it didn't feel like it was going anywhere.
No.
Like for me.
It's just going to get to the end. Get to that airport that we seemingly never knew where it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just very...
Somehow close to an old country home.
I guess
Again, probably South Africa.
Yeah.
Maybe it's going off like GTA logic where the vineyard is literally a mile away from the military base. Maybe. But yeah, they follow Lenny Henry there and he gets on his plane and they all... the Doctor and the companions, Yaz, Ryan and Graham. Bradley Walsh from The Chase. Older viewers might know him from The Chase on Channel 7. They all run and they jump in the back of this cargo plane and he's running behind him and he just barely manages to get on. So they get on the plane and they discover Lenny Henry character. He's disappeared, but he was at the pilot seat. Where's he gone? And he's the character of he's puffing and panting and saying, I'm not very good at jogging. But then the Doctor turns to him and goes, but you're
a champion sprinter.
Yeah, based upon your like personnel file. And then suddenly changes and he's like, oh, damn, you've seen through my disguise. And we get this big reveal. He's the Master. The Time Lord enemy of the Doctor.
The Moriarty to the Doctor's Holmes.
Yeah, this last played by Michelle Gomez as well as Derek Jacobi and John Sim and countless other Eric Roberts in the 90s.
Eric Roberts, Anthony Ainley, first portrayed by Robert Delgado.
Yes, he's the master. He's a master. He's the master of disguise, the master of deception. He's done all kinds of horrible stuff, and now he's back despite seemingly being dead. But that's the master's thing. He can do that. He's
great at disguises.
Yeah, and he reveals that he's blended in and he's been living in secret as this guy called for like years, and now he's got this master plan where he's apparently going to kill the Doctor in this crashing plane, and then the Doctor... It's sort of a weird thing to describe this episode because it's like there's these alien creatures which teleport people to this
dimension,
interdimensional space between spaces,
which look like it could have been like someone's scalp. Like there's all these like giant hairs.
I actually thought it was actually in like the carpet in the floor.
Yeah,
because the way that it looked, I was like, were just miniaturized or something?
But then you've got the Master returning with the matter decompression,
the tissue compressor, which shrinks people down, and he
it's still goosebumps.
It's
granted it was a big nerd moment, like oh my god, tissue compression.
It's really going back to the classic Master, very classic.
Her.
Probably his first story, wasn't it?
Yeah, no, it wasn't with Delgado. It was an Ainley thing.
No, it was with Delgado. I definitely remember.
Right. Bastard said I was wrong. Someone owes me $5.
So yeah, he's maniacal, this Master, and
he's like a manic Matt Smith. If Matt Smith's Doctor was evil.
I actually saw him as Loki with Joker's lust for violence.
Master's essentially become the Joker in recent years. Hey, always cackling and laughing and purple outfits.
Well, purple's only just recent popped up for only recently.
Well, Missy did.
Yeah, that's like you said. It only started with Missy up until recently with Missy, it was black.
Well,
Black and
yeah,
red.
it was always like a very Chairman Mao like outfit for the Master. He brings an interesting dynamic, and I think, like, I don't know, like I said, I really like Jodie, but I've never really got a sense of who her character is.
No, she hasn't had a defining Doctor moment.
Yeah.
Like, you could easily pick up any Doctor and find their moment quite quickly.
I'm somewhat vague on the Fifth Doctor, to be honest with him. I'm sort of like, what is his deal there, apart from being young and having celery on his lapel?
There is a reason.
You're having
why
to think about it. Yeah,
it's been a while since I've seen Peter Davison. I believe his...
I remember the stick of celery was apparently it had the
gases.
Gases, and he goes, well, the celery will absorb the gases
Into
and then
purple.
Into purple, and then he
his
goes.
defining moment is.
Yeah, and his companion goes, then what do you do with it? I eat it. That's what he says.
Yeah, but it's not his character. It's like, what really defines him. I mean, with Tom Baker, of course, he goes scarf, but that's a visual thing, and the hair. But he's very grand, and he's got this very sort of
alien.
He's very alien. He's very got this wondrous,
baby?
This wondrous hair. And I mean, the 12th Doctor is initially very callous and he's very guarded, and then he opens up, and it turns out he is actually very human in that way, and he is very loving. He just doesn't want to, he cuts himself off and tries not to feel things. But with Jodie, I'm just like, she loves fun, and she's sort of like, oh, this is an alien, I'm going to go poke it with a stick. It's like,
that's right.
And she has fun moments like that, but I'm not too sure. It's very reminiscent still of previous Doctors still. It's not her,
No. What was it? I watched a video last night, actually, and it was someone going through doing a retrospect on Patrick Talton's time as the Doctor.
The second Doctor back in the 60s.
Yes.
And his walkaway thing that stuck out with me more was every Doctor after Patrick is just in some way emanating him. With the one exception of John Pertwee, who was that classic gentleman spy.
Yeah, very dapper, the dandy of his velvet suits and kung fu.
But in some way, after John Pertwee, everyone's tried to find a way to small or largely emulate Charlton's childish innocence, that sort of schema behind a good description was the demigod who's just bored. And
I think that's when the Doctor first started, he was a very cranky old man, and when Troughton was introduced, it was actually called renewal, not regeneration. The implication being that Troughton was playing a young, I can't remember his name now, William Hartnell.
Yeah.
He was playing a young William Hartnell, and then they sort of decided, no, regeneration, it's really a personality changing thing, appearance changing thing. It's really diverse in that way. So it makes sense in the way that the Doctor did change and has been that way. They've really been fun-loving and wanting to explore, and just out of pure boredom and just a desire to want to do good for the universe as a whole. But yeah, so that's really the defining thing, and just, never cowardly, always kind. That's the main thing. But it's, what makes Jodie stand out apart from, being that?
No,
just
eating short
very, very
biscuits.
samey. I mean, the episode's good. The writing's probably, from what I've seen, more improved. But
yeah, definitely.
The moment the Master reveal came in, everything else sort of just went into the shadows.
And there's a great dynamic between her and him. It definitely feels like there is some animosity. There is a history there, and it opens them both up more.
It is weird because it feels like it's now the flip.
The side characters, I feel, suffer the most.
Yeah.
Because we've gone and got three companions, you've gone and got...
I haven't had three companions in years, decades.
Yeah. You got two, young adults. You got Ryan, who's a young man who lives with dyspraxia, and he's got his step-granddad, Graham, played by Bradley Walsh, and then Yasmin, who's an old school friend of Ryan's who's training to be a police officer.
On a probation period.
And she's somewhat left in the shadows through the entire series 1.
Like, they have moments. All three of them have moments where they get their good character development, and then...
But it's more strong for Graham and Ryan.
The slate gets wiped clean.
Pretty much, yeah. It's just... Like, dyspraxia is like this mobility thing, which sort of coordination. It's a coordination disability. Yeah. So you can't do fine motor things unless you're really trained. You have trouble writing, you have trouble drawing, you have trouble playing sports, riding a bike if it's more extreme. It's just really taken back to basics in this one. It's really just that, and there's nothing really consistent with the characters. It's sort of a problem some previous companions like Clara suffered when they were first introduced before they were given more defined, and
And
she
then
was
got bloated.
Yeah.
Clara was a character who, as much as I love her story ended in series 8. She had a really rounded, nice story there, and they should have ended it there. And then she's just there for fun, which is fine. But just give her something more to do. And same with this. There's not much for these guys to do yet, really. Still,
No, and this is apparently Jodie's last season.
no. She did say that she was going to stick around for longer. This wasn't going to be her last, was what she said.
Right.
So there's still hope there. But it's nearly 3 years ago that Jodie was announced.
Yeah.
And we've got 10 more episodes coming this year, but it's like we've only had 12 so far, and it's like, oh, is this it?
It doesn't like I'm getting more interested with Jodie. I really hope they can hold my interest. Otherwise, I'm going to treat this like Capaldi, and I'm going to walk away from the series.
Capaldi is, I think, my favourite Doctor, and he's got some really strong episodes.
Yeah, mine too.
Yeah, and by introducing the companions of Bill and Nardole in the latest season for him, really brings a new dynamic.
Yeah.
Does fall off. I don't know, it just with Doctor, it just feels different. It's really hard to describe. There's a different mood and atmosphere.
Because he's an old man, which we haven't had an old Doctor since Hartnell, really.
Partly.
Oh, Pertwee as well,
yeah.
yes.
He is older, but he does have a youthful energy. It's quite interesting when you see him running down a corridor in a long shot, and he's like starting to puff, and then you cut to a close-up, and he's like got his breath back.
Yeah.
And Jodie does have that energy, but yeah, it's just like... It just feels... a small criticism I do have, the music for this series is really good, but it feels way too prominent, like it's always going. Like there's never a quiet moment.
Let a moment sink in,
Yeah,
because I think that was very prevalent with the second part of this, the little chase through time
Yeah.
that Jodie and Master were having.
Really interesting. She gets sent back in time and meets Ada Lovelace, who is, the first modern computer programmer. Back in the 1800s, she was this brilliant mathematician, and then she meets this other lady whose name I forgot, who was a real British Indian resistance member.
She was a radio operator, one of the first female radio operators for OSS.
Yeah, and
placed behind enemy lines.
Yeah, spy.
And again, that's one great thing
Yeah.
Doctor Who does, is bring attention to these things. Like with the previous seasons, Demons of the Punjab, what was it like?
It was the partitioning of India.
Partitioning. I was going to say annexing, but partitioning of India.
No, India was already annexed.
Yeah.
Well, Pakistan was annexed into India along with Bangladesh, but it was more, and Burma, but it was more of creating those physical borders that we know now.
I think that's the strongest thing with this entire series, with Jodie's ones, is bringing attention to those moments.
Yeah, bring more focus to the historical characters and events when they actually happen, which is why I love this series so much. And yeah, I get a little bit analytical when I go, hang on a second. That goes against what I have read in the book. And I know this season is going to have not Eccleston, that's the Ninth Doctor, Edison and Tesla.
Oh, wow, okay. That could be interesting.
That's the 4th episode.
Well, I really do know nothing about this series at all.
Nah.
No, I saw the trailer for it today. I'm like, oh, sweet. Edison and Tesla. Is Tesla going to have a Serbian accent? Who knows?
Yeah, Tesla's a really interesting character who's popped up in pop culture, but to see him in a proper historical context like that, we haven't had that since The Prestige.
This is a guy who burns bridges and kept pigeons.
So I think that's really the strongest thing. I do like as well that the Master... Because he is.
And we get to see him showcase off his talents throughout the 2 parts. Like, when the reveal, as much as I hated, one Fred, I'm done, he actually, and I think this is just the actor, he slowly goes through each iteration of the Master that we've known. Starting off with the Delgado calm, just going, come on, catch up. The Ainley sort of manicness and
campness almost with Ainley. Yeah.
The revealing this sonic proof bomb and screaming out, really didn't think I'd make it sonic proof, there's John Sims. And then that sort
fair,
of
yeah.
that again, that devil care attitude that we got with who was the previous Master before Gomez, yeah.
Yeah. It that's a fair point actually. It's really sort of cycles through all those things, and
in just a brief scene, and that's what has endeared me to this actor playing the Master.
Yeah, I hope he sticks around for a while, and I hope he sticks around with Jodie, and they both stick around and continue to have... I think he'll be back later in the series.
Each Master has played off the Doctor quite well. Each actor that they've got in Delgado was the perfect foil for Sean Pertwee's Doctor.
Yeah, he was with Delgado, and then...
Ainley managed to span multiple Doctors, starting with Tom Baker and ending with Sylvester McCoy. Then we got Darab Jacobi come back, and I thought, yes, this will be interesting. The old man versus the young, brilliant mind with Tennant, and then we got John Sims, and I'm not going to complain.
Yeah, Sim was good for his first 3-parter, and I think he was good when he came back with Missy, because he was really... manipulative. That was an epic reveal when he came back with Peter Capaldi. That was like, oh man.
It was beautiful.
I love disguises.
You still like disguises. And just that reveal. They could have ended the episode there with, hello, Missy, I'm the Master, and I'm very worried about my future. Could have cut it there, and I would not have cared.
Like, they actually released online a photo of John Sim as the Master before the episode even aired.
I think that was a big mistake.
That was a very big mistake, because I saw it and I'm like, great. I was actually like, you released it before the episode.
But when he did, but I did not realise it was him when he was there until he did it, and I was like, oh.
As soon as I saw him,
BBC media team has had a very bad time in the most recent years, particularly with the Master and revealing, because I found out about the twist from the BBC's YouTube channel.
Oh.
Was that after it happened on TV?
After it happened on TV.
But
this
immediately?
was before I had watched the episode. I watched the episode 2 days after it had aired.
Oh.
And it was already up, because I found it through a Facebook group which had linked the BBC's
my
YouTube channel.
My girlfriend didn't get to see part 1 of this until like a week after it aired, but she somehow managed to avoid that the Master was back, and was like big, like, holy cow, I did not see that coming. Which is what you want. I had it spoiled for me, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I think it's really good when they do have those moments, and this one, I think, it was only other people who told me, and then they sort of held off for a few days and then started talking about it to give people time to catch up. But I think it was really well done, and I hope it continues.
I really hope we see more of this guy, because
it really brings life to Jodie.
The dynamic I really will look forward to, and I wouldn't mind seeing another series like Pertwee and Delgado, where they just go back and forth for nearly an entire season.
I think that would be much appreciated, rather than having like as an event character, because he is Joker-like in that way. The Joker has become like an event character within the comics. He never just shows up for like a little thing. He's always
Tennant, when he came up, it was like, all right, 3-parter, brilliant. Came back, his own special, didn't see him for an entire regeneration, and then he comes back suddenly, Missy. But the reveal there was just as good.
Yeah, the reveal was really good.
I mean, granted, we don't need to know how the Master survives every time, because
no.
that's the great draw to the Master.
The Master is a genius. He always gets himself out of situations.
But then, they could have done that there, but they didn't go all the way with it, and then they realized it, did it with one season. It sort of didn't oversaturate, but again, I didn't see a lot of Capaldi's stuff.
I recommend giving it a watch, because I think it's really the strongest. Although that's just my personal opinion.
Yeah.
So what are our final thoughts on these first 2 episodes and the future of Doctor Who going forth with Jodie and such?
Well, I'm still very mixed about it. Like, there were some things that I liked, and there's a fair bit that I didn't like, but I'm still looking forward to see what they do in future episodes. I'm just there for along for the ride to see how it goes. I'm just happy with that.
I'm looking forward to seeing where this goes stepping forward, because Spyfall offered promise. It offered an interesting premise with now an overarching story, which we didn't get last season, so here's hoping.
I'm definitely sticking with Doctor Who. I just hope that we have enough time to get to who this character still really is, because I'm still sort of waiting to get a bearing on her.
Pretty much.
And I hope she sticks around for longer, so we do get that, or they at least establish that a lot sooner. So that's our thoughts on the first 2 episodes of Series 12 of Doctor Who. This has been the Geeks Review. I'm Royce.
I'm Ben.
And I'm Joshua.
And we'll see you next time. Bye for now.